St. Paul, the Fan.
Let's talk about some trick plays here momentarily.
Jack Fox has his heels on the 11. Outside chance, a very outside heel pass here. It's a fake punch, and it went right to the up back, who heads for a first down to the 40, to the 50, to the near side. And the Detroit Lions, with a piece of trickery, have run themselves not only into Vikings territory, but to a first down. It was a direct snap to... There's a flag on the play. It was a direct snap to C.J. Moore.
Can you play the beginning of that highlight one more time for me if you still have it?
I'm trying to find the Dalvin jump pass from last year, and I don't...
Yeah, good luck with that.
I can't seem to find it with this elite labeling. The beginning of it? All right, 3-2.
Jack Fox has his heels on the 11.
You know it's coming.
Outside chance, a very
Just
outside
listen to your voice
pass here. It's a fake punch, and it went right to the up back.
Come on, man.
I can just see the shoulder. It's a fake punt. I do it. It's on the card. I did the research on it.
Come on, man.
This is a Dan Campbell maneuver. It's going to freaking happen. Here it is. Heels on the 11. Own territory.
It's a fake punch.
Oh.
Jack Fox has his heels on the 11. Outside chance, a very outside heel pass here. It's a fake punch, and it went right to the up back, who heads for a first down to the 40, to the 50, to the near side. And the Detroit Lions, with a piece of trickery, have run themselves not only into Vikings territory, but to a first down. It was a direct snap to... There's a flag on the play. It was a direct snap to C.J. Moore.
Maybe this is it.
4th and 1 from the Vikings 46.
Nope, that ain't it. Go on and do it.
Handoff Dalvin, stutter steps. It looked like the ball's bouncing around, and the Lions have picked it up. They were going to pat. It was going to be a jump pass. I swear, Dalvin.
Oh, there it is. Hey.
It was going to be a jump pass.
Right, okay. Now, welcome back. All right, 3-2. Welcome back to 9 to Noon. It's a Takesgiving Tuesday. 9 to Noon has been unfurling takes for profit all show, calling it Takesgiving. 2 days in front of Thanksgiving, there have been some very kind listeners to opine and share in the meal and share with their servings via the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line at 64686 and or the talkbacks at the free iHeartRadio app. And what we're doing is metaphorically formulating like a Thanksgiving Day table, but we're doing so with takes. There have been some takes that have been of the I'm choking on the wishbone variety. There have been some takes where kind of like Sunday night football in the Mile Get High City, it's like, damn, man, with that take, I got the gizzard. There have been some obvious takes, it's like what everybody who doesn't like stuffing. All right, everybody seems to like stuffing. You like stuffing?
I'm out on stuffing, actually.
Why?
I don't like raisins.
Okay, what do you like on Thanksgiving?
Well,
Who
ham.
puts raisins in stuffing? What do you like on Thanksgiving?
I like green bean casserole.
Okay, everybody likes green bean casserole, so therefore there have been side dishes via the takes in the Takesgiving Tuesday that have been succulent. They've been tasty. They haven't been like the centerpiece of the meal, but nevertheless they've provided 9 to Noon with some functioning talkability on this happy Takesgiving Tuesday with your team at 9 to Noon, which indeed does bring us to this. What do we all think of KOC's tricks? Last year, December 11th, Ford Field.
Handoff Dalvin, stutter steps. It looked like the ball's bouncing around, and the Lions have picked it up. They were going to pat. It was going to be a jump pass. I swear, Dalvin was going to jump pass over the line.
Yes, it was. It was supposed to be a jump pass.
Are you kidding me?
You had Oli Udo in there.
What?
And it was Johnny Munt that snuck out the pack. And then Dallas put the ball down on the ground before they were even able to do it. So
What do we think of KOC's tricks and all those tricks that he has up his tattered sleeve? You just heard last year, they're inside the 5. Dalvin fakes a run up the middle, takes a step back, and he's going to do a jump pass, I think, to Hawkinson, back center of the end zone. And the whole thing became discombobulated. Not only did it not work, but they lost the football, as you just heard right there. And what triggered this idea was Hawkinson under center on the first possession at Denver. And the situation was an L. But when it comes to, hey, what's everybody think of KOC's tricks? He basically runs one every single game. And then they would start immediately with an L because it's what transpired most recently. Now, I like that Kevin mixes up things on a weekly basis, and coordinators are kept on their proverbial toes with direct snaps and wide receivers passing if they can throw from the left side of the field all the way over to the right side of the field.
Well, on the direct snap, it's been more recent and it's worked.
Big time.
One nice one in the red zone each game, direct snaps. We had one in Denver and then one the week before with Chandler's TD.
The Hawkinson play, I mean, I'm just going to lay it out for you as plainly as I can. If two guys do their job, the Hawkinson plays a TD.
I always love that one.
It's not a first down. It's a 75-yard touchdown. All right. So now but two jobs, one initially from the outset by Reisner, and then the other on the edge outside the numbers to get Josh free. They ain't catching Josh. All right. Simmons is good. Kareem Jackson is dirty, but he's good. They ain't catching Josh. So that play, you talk about a thin line between love and hate. Or if Nordo likes to say, if you can't be with the one you want, honey, love the one you're with.
I always love that one.
Or the metaphorical game of inches. That play right there personified the game of inches. Because not only if that thing had been blocked up, has to be blocked up perfectly. I tape X's and O's today with Kevin O'Connell about an hour and a half from now. And like last week, I led it with, I don't think I could love the Ty Chandler play any better. This guy did this. Darisaw buried Lattimore. Reisner did this after being part of a double team, got off of it and chipped Granderson because if that doesn't happen, it's a TFL. And then just in case, Bradbury's mauling DeMario Davis 5 yards deep in the end zone. That was a perfect play. Well, the Hawkinson and the flip to Dobbs, that was not a perfect play. That was a fat L. In fact, it was a turnover. So, but that's what I like is not the turnover part of it, but you can see what the design and the idea was, but it wasn't executed properly. So therefore, that has to go in the L category. When asking what do we think of KOC's tricks? How often do KOC's tricks work? Well, the Hawkinson under center bit had immense potential, but it didn't work. So therefore, it's an L. The Dalvin jump pass, it's an L. Hawkinson was open back center of the end zone. I remember it. Or was it Munn? It was one of the two, whatever. But it was an L because it didn't work. Now, the direct snap to Ty Chandler against New Orleans, he walked in after everybody executed a perfect play.
That was sweet.
That's a W. The running back direct snap, there was a running back direct snap to Madison at Denver, and it gouged these toothless ponies.
It was 6-7 yards.
7 yards. Yeah, It was like, I couldn't remember. Thank you. It was like 7 yards. So that technically, I wouldn't call it a trick, but it's abnormal. So it would fall in the trick bucket more so than the normalcy bucket. And we're 2 for 2 with Ty Chandler on fake punts. And O'Connell has to sign off on a fake punt.
The fake punt game is nice.
Yeah, right. And it's unfurled. They're not, super obsessed with it. And but nevertheless, it happens more frequently than certainly with a lot of other teams. So that's a trick play. That has to be signed off on by the head coach. That works.
How many have we had? Is that 4 now? Because we got 2 passes by Ryan Wright.
Yep.
One was complete.
Yep.
One was incomplete, maybe up high to Jalen Naylor. But then we've had 2 direct snap fake punts too, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
So that's 4 in the last year and a half.
3 for 4.
Compared to Zimmer, who once had, Ryan Quigley try to throw it to Blake Bell. Didn't work in 2017 at the Steelers.
2017, week 2.
He's like, the hell with that whole thing.
Yeah. Well, Zimmer also had, the Zimmer regime, we should say, also had, who was the punter who used to come by the TCOPC radio studio every Wednesday just to talk on the radio? Colquitt. Britton Colquitt.
Colquitt.
Yeah, Colquitt just started stopping by. Then all of a sudden he's like in there every week at 11:35. Crowd loving him. Colquitt.
Oh, the Dallas game.
At home against Dallas.
Chris Boyd, though.
Threw a left hash outside the numbers to the right side. Dime to Chris Boyd, former corner for the Vikings. Think he's still with Arizona. But it got called back because Chris got a little excited and it was a false start or he was offside or something. It
was illegal formation or false start because he's jumping up in the air and moving because he's so excited that he's going to be uncovered.
So what 64686, happy Takesgiving. Any takes on that? Anything anybody would like to develop? You're more than welcome to via the text machine at the KFAN Bradshaw and Bryant text line 64686. What do you think of KOC's tricks? Like any of these tricks or anything else that's on your mind? Go ahead and text us. And if we have time, we will share some. We have more takes and we will get into those texts around the corner.
KFAN, the Fan.
Takesgiving talkback via the free iHeartRadio app. It might be a hot take, but I like where he's going with it. Let's listen.
No, PA, hot take here. Sean Payton, Bountygate, 2009, gets suspended for a year. Dirty players. Now, fast forward 2023, late hit on Dobbs. No reason to hit him in the head like that. Already down. I think Sean Payton needs to be investigated for Bountygate 2.0. What do you think?
I think you're very clever. I think that was a very creative talkback. I in no way believe. Now, Darren Sharper was a safety, and he was the one that led Bountygate with defensive coordinator Greg Williams. And, it's like Sean Payton, the coach of the Saints at the time, after when he's not throwing people under the bus because he's fraudulent, he was like, nothing to see here, had no idea. Of course you didn't. So therefore you have a safety. So Sharper was like with Favre, if you cut the head off the snake, the serpent dies. I don't believe that was the mandate or the mantra into this game against Josh Dobbs. I could be wrong. I mean, with Dobbs, it'd be more like, if you cut the foot off the cheetah, said cheetah can't run.
What if it's a hatred of the franchise? I mean, since 2009, where really, one of the conversations, same way we would look at the Vikings with Rodgers and Favre. Mm-hmm. It's like, how the hell do you only win 2 Super Bowls with that?
Yeah.
Over the course of 35 years, we're rolling out Kelly Holcomb. But in the same vein, the glory years of the prime or the sun setting on Peyton and Drew Brees and getting them in the playoffs, getting them in big wins, both in 2017 and 2019, knocking them out of the mix, one of which, I can't remember which season it was, they may have been among the favorites to get into that mix. They were, and so so thinking it from there, maybe he just hates the franchise. He's like, Kareem Jackson, you've already been suspended. Okay, your reputation is cooked.
Yeah,
I'll pay your fine.
Wow,
and we'll make sure there's a place for you when you get back. You take a month off. We're not going to the playoffs anyway. This whole thing's weird, but I'm locked up for the next decade, so you don't have to worry about me. But just let's stick it to that franchise. I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. An investigation, yes. NFL, get on it.
I thought it was a clever talk back. And,
I liked it.
With the KOC and the tricks, I mean, there are myriad tricks up the young man's sleeve. And whether it's direct snaps or fake punts or jump passes by running backs or who was it who threw last year, Vikings bench side of the field, US Bank Stadium, all the way to was it Addison who threw it?
Ooh.
I think we also had a trick play, by the way, that worked. And wasn't there a holding on Osborne at some point this season?
last year?
Yeah, somewhere early this season.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, so wide receivers can throw, but
was that the pass in the charge? Was it, which game was it where Chandler had a 30-some yard catch and run, and it was when OPI or holding on Osborne that brought the thing back.
Yeah, but I know there was a wide receiver pass barely over the outstretched arms of somebody behind the line of scrimmage.
What about a fake field goal?
Well, because that's what I was going to bring up.
Sweet.
Interestingly, the Vikings haven't faked a field goal since 2007, and they haven't faked a field goal not only since 2007. They actually scored a touchdown on a fake field goal in 2006. Richard Owens was the recipient of a pass, I believe, from Ryan Longwell or Chris Cluey. I think it might have come from Cluey, but they haven't faked a field goal since 2007. I don't think anybody fakes field goals anymore. And I can't exactly figure out why. Because, like, I'm not watching every game, but, I mean, you just never see the snap, and then kicker rolls up, fakes the kick, and, like, the punter, the holder, goes on a boot. And whether he goes on a naked, and he rolls out to the right, and then there's some Jeff Dugan wide open, and they roll down like inside the 5 touchdown. I just don't see fake field goals. You see a fair amount of fake punts, but you don't see fake field goals. And you know, from a Minnesota Vikings standpoint, it's the thing that's perplexing to me with the current situation, with the field goal operation, specifically the battery and then the kicker. The battery would be Serpo into Mr. Right with G-Money kicking. That's how Matt Daniels talks. Our holder on field goals can throw and was a high-end high school quarterback in Northern California, and that's not that long ago, like 7 years. And he's 1 for 2 passing with your fake punt situation. So, I mean, you haven't faked a field goal. Tricks are for kids. KOC loves tricks. You haven't faked a field goal since 2007, and you're the guy holding it is your punter, and your punter can throw. So it just seems like it's tailor-made to fake a field goal sometime under the cover of darkness.
Yeah, that's what, and I got a couple of text messages on that as well. So expanding the tricks, I think that's where, you know, when they go wrong with the trick plays,
it's disease.
It's so much more glaring and awful. And so in some ways it makes you forget the good ones. You know, even joking about the Zimmer and the fake punt in 2017, I get flooded with 8 texts about the Thielen at Lambeau fake punt back bit in 2015.
Yeah, it went for like 41. It's a career long for AT19.
With the division on the line, Rodgers gets it off according to everybody, pass incomplete, and the Vikings are NFC North champions. But I'd love to see them fake a field goal. The one thing that I admittedly have to pay more attention to is who are the skilled-ish players on the line who in some way are going to leak out for a pass. I'm
glad you asked that.
How are Derisaw's hands? You know, is Josh Oliver in on field goal coverage? We saw him run one up the seam in the Denver game, and that was actually a really nice one of Dobbs' best pass plays of the night, finding Josh Oliver for 20 or 30 yards. So who are the guys that we could potentially throw it to in a fake field goal situation? Who can we immediately get the nickname of from Matt Daniels and start putting this in the game calling card so that when it happens, we are prepared for it on our side. Fans are prepared for it in the stands. And it leads to a touchdown out of nowhere with a trick.
See with field goals, it's the problem you have, and it's like it's if a field goal is blocked, okay, that's where you got to be careful.
Yeah, things get negative real quick.
Right, because you got nothing but beef eaters.
Yep.
And then generally speaking, on the other side, I mean, you like Byron Murphy is on the Vikings field goal and or extra point blocking team.
Yeah.
So if a ball's bounding about, Byron Murphy, who has a fumble recovery touchdown to his credit, it was last year at the Las Vegas Raiders. He walked off in overtime week 2. And I know that because we had just gotten to Philadelphia to lose to the Eagles on Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football, and we were watching the game. No, it was Monday Night Football. But if somebody picks it up like Byron Murphy or a corner or a skill guy and they go ripping down the field, man, on a fake field goal, it's hard for these beef eaters and these tight ends and these fullbacks. I mean, you got Madison Hedgecock trying to run down Mike Vick. I mean, who's going to win that race, Coach? How'd that happen? Well, they blocked it, all right, and we got Madison Hedgecock over here trying to run down Mike Vick. So that's clearly going to be a problem, Coach.
Well, and the key is on kick blocking coverage as it is.
Yep.
Jay Ward. Now, if he's not jumping offside, Jay Ward is a guy that you would love from a speed and size standpoint. He can run out, but nobody's going to get away from Jay Ward.
Yeah,
the beef eaters aren't going to get away. So you roll out, you leak out for a pass. Jay Ward realizes it's happening. You got speedsters on the boundary.
Yeah.
I can't think of the last fake field goal that was attempted in the NFL. You mentioned 07 for the Vikings, but how often does that happen in the league as it is?
Never see it.
Just because of the personnel matchup.
I got it. Here we are. So, I mean, with the current situation, if you're going to fake a field goal, okay, we do agree that it would catch everybody in the universe off guard because nobody fakes field goals, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, we do concur the plus size punter, the holder for field goals, can throw the football.
Absolutely.
Legitimately can throw the football, right?
Yes.
And by the way, a fake field goal pass is not a 30-yard dime left hash right boundary. Think Dobbs, Oliver. That's the kind of pass it is.
Right.
Think Dalvin's jump pass actually working. I mean, that's the kind of bit it is. Well, for starters, I mean, we're in business here, okay? For starters,
what do we got?
To the right of the kicker, Greg Joseph, the man farthest on the outside, might be called the wing, is Johnny Munt. And the wing left, or the individual all the way to the left on the line, well, that's Josh Oliver, and he's on fire. He had 4 catches
perfect.
the other night. Then inside of I'm tripping right now. Who's 64 for us?
64,
or is that?
It's like a Chris Reed.
Oh yeah, but Reed's hurt. Maybe it's 54 Barr, but nevertheless, you have. You got Ed Ingram.
I like Barr's hands. Barr can catch.
Ask Austin Safarian Jenkins.
It's Blake Brandell is 64.
Thank you. Thank you, Brandell. So you got Brandell, and then you have O'Neal.
O'Neal was catching touchdowns and doing reverses at Pitt.
Right. Super athletic. Then you have 66. Then you have Serpo. And then you have, man, we got Quessenberry. Who knows? I mean, there used to be a pitcher for the Kansas City Royals named Dan Quisenberry, and he was multifaceted. He could throw, he could catch, he could run. Maybe our version of Quessenberry has some catch to him, rolling from the spot just to the right of Serpo. Well, then you got Darisaw. Christian could do everything, and Ed Ingram would be your widest offensive lineman just to the inside of Johnny Munt. So we're pretty much down to Munt and Oliver.
Yeah.
After all that. I mean, unless Quessenberry can catch.
Let's not rule it out until we've seen it.
But we haven't faked one since 07, man.
Nobody plays catch before practices more than the O-linemen do.
Correct.
The O-linemen have terrific hands.
Correct.
Better than you'd ever think. So I'm not ruling it out. I love the idea of tricks. When it goes bad, it's nuclear. But in the end, specifically some of these third and short situations, timing for me would be something I'd have to dig into more deeply in terms of when these are deployed. But I love the idea that our coach on a weekly basis has at least 2 to 3 bits. You got to do bits, whether you're in radio or you're coaching football.
Even with your second and third quarterback in games like that, where he's like, we got these bits and everything, but this game's going to be more tightly contested, and, it's going to be just more consternation. So therefore, if it doesn't work, maybe but he still does it.
He still
unfurls
does
it.
Absolutely.
Let's. I'm going to fly through this. You fly through your Flores thing, literally with them each taking 15 seconds or up to 30, and then we'll replay Finch. The Houston Texans. This is Happy Takesgiving. My final take on Happy Takesgiving would be a side dish, or maybe pumpkin pie, or pecan pie, or banana cream pie, something that you thoroughly enjoy. Like the Houston Texans are going to beat Jacksonville this weekend. They're going to sweep the season series against the Jags. They already beat them by 20 one time and did so early in the season at Jacksonville. And the Houston Texans are going to be your AFC South champions of the world. They still have the Titans twice, the Colts, the Jets, and the Broncos left to play. Ladies and gentlemen, the Houston Texans
schedule
are going to be your AFC South champions, and they're currently in second. What was your B flow?
Yeah, I may get more into this tomorrow, and when you're back, we can talk about this more. I think that Brian Flores will either be the next Steelers head coach, or he's going to be the Vikings defensive coordinator for at least the next 2 seasons.
Why, you think Tomlin might be gone?
Well, there's a lot of factors to this, and that's the key. Is Tomlin's under contract through 2024. The defense is good. The culture is good. They are having massive offensive issues, but the Steelers have had 3 head coaches since 1969. Tomlin is beloved. Tomlin is future HOF. Tomlin probably can stay there. Similarly to a Belichick style, you're going to have to let me walk off into the sunset. But with a guy that's going to have pick of the litter, for a guy in Flores that doesn't want to have to go through the, can I rebuild this awful Raiders team, or can I rebuild this from the floor? Culture matters to him. I think that family and putting roots down matters to Flores. I think that unless something super weird happened specifically in Pittsburgh, I don't care what other jobs, including New England, are open. I think unless something happens specifically with Pittsburgh, Flores is back as our DC.
And in closing, if Pittsburgh and New England open and they both pursue Brian, I mean, seriously, it's like you look at the team that wears black and gold and you're like, who would I rather want here? Or what would I rather want to start things defensively? TJ Watt or Dietrich Wise?
Welcome to the Steel City.
I'd rather have the skeletal remains of JJ Watt before going here and dealing with all of this. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, joins 9 to noon weekly. Really enjoyed the chat earlier. If you missed it, we're going to play it back around the corner. It's a Happy Takesgiving Tuesday.
The Fan.
Final segment, 9 to noon. And if you missed it earlier, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, fresh off that win over the Knicks last night, he joined PA this morning, and they kind of kicked things off, talking about Rudy Gobert and how good he's playing. Here's Coach Chris Finch.
Yeah, he's playing, all NBA Defensive Player of the Year level for us. And, last year, he was extremely important for us. I mean, if we don't have Rudy in last year's team, we probably win around about 25 games. I mean, he just had such a big impact on us. Now, last year's season was kind of all over the place for a variety of reasons. And he wasn't playing quite at this level, but he was really, really, really important for us. And I've always said with Rudy, his loud plays, his kind of failures, if you will, are really obvious. But his success and his real impact is like really quiet. It's like just always kind of humming along in the background. But right now, he's not only has quiet success, he's making a lot of loud plays that are super impactful for us. And the fans are really feeding off of that. He's like kind of driving an energy between the fans and himself, which is kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
Particularly after last year, I think he was unfairly criticized for us last year, and we expected him to do a lot last year. We probably put way too much expectation on him to solve all defensive end, and nobody is able to do that this year. I know he's feeling 100% coming into the season, totally committed, wanted to prove to the people here in Minneapolis that he was worthy of the trade, which you're seeing right now, the benefits of that.
Chris, wouldn't you say, I mean, this is a complete master of the obvious type question, but I'm setting up something here. Wouldn't you say that the University of Kentucky, like Kentucky Wildcats from Tyrese Maxey through Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns, and so on, Kentucky puts quality players in the NBA. Fair to say?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, now when those cats go to battling each other, it can bring out the absolute best in each other. Why I bring it up, Karl was wonderful all night. And I know he's on a good run right now, but he was wonderful all night, especially offensively and defensively against Julius Randle. And, you know, this is with all due respect, because I've seen games before you got here where Cat went up against Julius and/or Anthony Davis, and the adversary got the best of him. I'm not going to say every time, but a lot of the time. And that wasn't the case last night, specifically early when the offense was in front of you and the defense was in front of the Knicks bench. He was making plays on both sides of the court against Julius Randle, and he wasn't being overly cocky with it, but you could tell they had a thing out of respect for each other, and Cat just brought it to Julius last night, didn't he?
Yeah, he sure did. It's funny you bring that dynamic up. You know, I've actually coached a number of those big Kentucky bigs. You know, Anthony. I've coached Julius. I've coached DeMarcus Cousins is another one, and it is they're all very much kind of a brotherhood when it comes to their relationship to Kentucky and Calipari, but they like to go at each other. And I think there's like this competition on who the biggest brother is. But last night, Cat was outstanding. He's been really good for us defensively all year. I don't think he's getting near enough credit for the growth and his impact on defense. He's taken a lot of tough matchups. He's playing slightly different kind of style and role defensively than he ever has before. And, you know, he's adjusted to kind of a lot of different things that we've asked him to do over the last, you know, season and a bit. And he looks, for the first time, really comfortable doing it.
Last night, what did you think of the passing, the ball movement last night?
Yeah, ball movement has been great. We've really emphasized it coming out of our Phoenix loss. We felt that we had kind of morphed into a fairly predictable offensive team, which we never really want to be. But the last couple games, we found a rhythm. Ball movement's good, and we got to clean up our passing. We'll throw some wild ones here and there, and a little. Sometimes they're off target, but the willingness to move the ball and the spacing and the decision making, I think, is just getting better and better. And I've always said when it comes to offense, even when you have a returning team, now we have a returning team, but obviously we've still had to kind of find a chemistry and a rhythm with the Cat, Rudy lineup and Ants, all that kind of stuff. Even though we knew who our players were, we still had to reestablish that chemistry with something a little bit more kind of substantial than what we had last year. It always takes about 20 to 25 games. It just does, for our style of offense. And so I feel it slowly coming, and if we can kind of keep growing that and maintain our defense, I think we have a chance to really do something special.
Well, speaking of special defensively, and still a lot of the season to go, but the Knicks were 23% from three and 34 from the field. Brunson's nice. I mean, Brunson can hit from all over the place. Outside of that, their 3-point game ain't the greatest, but still 23%. That's fantastic. What are some keys to getting this defense to keeping teams consistently around 100 points?
Yeah, it always starts with ball contain. How much pressure are you able to bring at the point of attack, and then we put a big emphasis on just closing out and contesting shooters. NBA defense, no matter what you decide to do from a scheme point of view, will always come down to the level of shot contestedness. Like, are you going to make them miss, not hope they miss, and get out there and really affect the shooting? I mean, shooting drops anywhere between 7% and 10% on good shooters by just getting a great contest. So, but to do that, it's a chain reaction. You got to be good on the ball. You got to be good in your help. You got to be good in your rotation. And if you're not good on the ball, then your help is further and your rotations are longer. So it's really about being able to apply good pressure on the ball, and that allows you to kind of stay home and take care of the shooting.
Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, weekly 9 to noon, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org. If you have some free time this holiday week, please go to the website, twoharvest.org, see if something hits your heart with ways you can help and aid others this holiday season, twoharvest.org. And Chris's team is undefeated at home. Philly's here tomorrow, the energy in the building right now is terrific, which undoubtedly will aid you in all the games, but specifically against Philly. Do they put Embiid on Gobert so Tobias Harris can chase Cat around? How do they handle that?
Yeah, that's funny. I was thinking about that this morning. I'm pretty sure that's what they'll do. I think they'll leave Embiid in the paint to kind of muck everything up. And they'll use Harris and Batum, who's guarded him when he was with the Clippers, guarded Cat quite a bit, actually. I think that's what they'll do. So, we've seen this type of defense before. It's something that we're not unfamiliar with. But we just got to figure out the best way to take advantage of it, on the night.
Should say Batum or Tobias Harris or Paul Reed, say they get Cat down on the low post, and you got Embiid working with a Gobert, which will be a nice little heavyweight fight between bigs, kind of like last night. Mitchell Robinson, off the way he played in the postseason last year, I mean, it's clear he's taking more pride in his game, and I thought he was a kind of a handful last night, but now you got Embiid, obviously on a different level. So if it's not Joel on Cat, then is that like low post offense there with whomever they throw at him, Harris, Reed, Batum, whomever?
Sometimes it's low post. If you can establish deep early position and Cat can go quickly, with the idea that the defense is going to try to, when they set up like that, they're going to try to bring Embiid to help as quickly as possible and kind of double team with their biggest and best defender. So you might have to move Cat around and, maybe give him some isolations in the middle of the floor where it's a lot harder to guard with a double team. Everyone at that point is like one pass away from a really good shot. So it's like I said, we'll just have to see how they do it and what they do. And one thing I do really like about us, offensively, we have options. We can go to Cat in the post, we can go to Cat and ISO. We certainly have Ant all different places on the floor too. Mike Conley, Kyle Anderson. The league right now is pretty homogeneous. Everybody's kind of looks a version of each other, but I think we have a bit of a different flavor to our offense. We still like to throw the ball inside quite a bit. We want to make sure we're taking full advantage of Cat's wide range of skills. Like I said, we have Ant, we have a great point guard in Mike Conley to be able to run pick and roll and close games with. So it's kind of been an evolution for us as a coaching staff to try to figure all that out and how to kind of layer it.
How's Jaden's ankle the morning after messing it up last night?
Yeah, I mean, probably be, he's certainly not going to be day to day. He'll probably be a week or so. But we'll get some tests today. But unfortunate, he's been playing so well for us. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker has just been an absolute godsend when it comes to defense and impact off the bench. So I'm sure he'll pick up a lot of those minutes.
That's head coach Chris Finch. Minnesota Timberwolves, they beat the Knicks last night. It is the Philadelphia 76ers in town. And tomorrow, kicking off 9 to noon, actually going to be joined by the voice of the Timberwolves, Alan Horton. Not only to break that down, but kind of continue this conversation. Podcastable, you can hear all the Finch interviews weekly with the free iHeartRadio app. But dig into these Wolves, top of the heap in the West right now, looking damn good. Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to 9 to noon. PA out tomorrow, but returns for the Friday football feast, which is in Savage, a Black Friday feast. So looking forward to that. And looking forward to Gopher Football Weekly next with PJ Fleck as it's Axe Week. So thank you for listening to The Fan. Have a terrific Tuesday.
Not getting hassled, not getting hustled, keeping your head above water, making a way when you can. Temporary layoffs, good times, easy credit rip-offs, good times, scratching and surviving, good times.
Final segments, 9 to noon, brought to you by Casey's. Get to Casey's, whether it's buy a large one-topping pizza, get half off another one, or it's getting $1 medium coffee with a breakfast sandwich or burrito. Stop by Casey's today.
Podcast Today Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or